Today we're looking at section 4.1, which is graphing parabolas in standard form. All of the equations that you're going to look at today will be in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So there are several things that we want to look for as we look at this equation. The a value in the front, that's going to tell us if our parabola opens up or down. What we're going to look for is a negative sign, or if there's nothing, then it would be a positive value. That's going to tell us open up or down. If this parabola is going to open down, you will notice that your a term is negative. If your parabola opens up, then your a term is going to be positive. The second thing that your a number can tell you is if you have a maximum or a minimum to your curve. So, for instance, if your parabola opens up, if that a term is positive, you have a parabola that faces like this, opening up. What you're looking at is the very bottom piece to the parabola, the lowest that the parabola gets. Since the legs keep going up forever, we don't know how to identify forever, but we can tell that we've got a very bottom to that. So if you have a parabola that opens up, it will have a minimum spot. If you have a parabola that opens down, in other words, your a term was negative on the top, right here would be negative, that means your parabola is going to continue forever negatively, which means that you have a top that you can identify, and that top point is called a maximum. Parabola opening up has a minimum. Parabola opening down has a maximum. The c number in the back of your parabola will tell you the y-intercept. That is the place where your curve crosses the y-axis. That y-intercept point is identified as an ordered pair 0c. We also want to find what's called the vertex. The vertex is this center point that's either at the very bottom or very top of your parabola. That center point is an ordered pair. It's called HK. That's your vertex point. We can identify that vertex point by doing what's called the opposite of b over 2a. So this h value right here will really be found by doing negative b over 2a. So you're going to take your values, the opposite of b, and divide by 2 times a. That will be the x-coordinate of our vertex, and then the y-coordinate of our vertex will be found by plugging in the value that we just got for x. So negative b over 2a, and then plug it in to come up with your official vertex. The vertex official definition is the place where your curve changes direction. For instance, if I have a vertex point right here and I have a curve that's facing up, this point, this vertex point, HK, is the official point where the curve changes direction. So as I look at a parabola coming from left to right, it is traveling down, 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 down. It gets to that point, turns, and then is traveling up, up, up. So it's changed direction. So the official definition for a vertex, place where the curve changes direction. We also have something that's called an axis of symmetry. That is the mirror line in the middle of your curve. So right on the vertex, the vertical line that passes straight through the vertex, that is called an axis of symmetry. So everything I see on the left has a mirror image to that on the right of that axis of symmetry. And the axis of symmetry is written as a straight line, x equals, and then the value will be the exact same value that we're using as the x-coordinate of our vertex. So as soon as you get your vertex, you can write that same number in as your axis of symmetry. X equals negative b over 2a. Now I've given you a sheet of paper, and we're going to fill in the blanks on this paper. On the top it says graphing parabola standard form. There's several things that we could just run through, and this will help us make our sketch. So in the blank on this page, go ahead and write in the equation y equals x squared plus 6x plus 3. And then we're just going to go through this list. Part A, does this open up or down? Since A is positive, that's like a 1 sitting there. Here's your A, here's your B, here's your C term. This will open up. If it's opening up, that means I have a minimum to this curve. Part C is asking us to find negative b over 2a. The opposite of b, negative 6 over 2 times 1, which is 2, negative 3. Now I can plug in a negative 3 to come up with my actual vertex. Negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 3. 9 minus 18 plus 3, negative 9 plus 3, negative 6. So my vertex should be the ordered pair, negative 3, comma, negative 6. Now we can go to our graph, plot that point right here. Next on your list is the axis of symmetry. X equals, repeat the same x value you got, negative 3. Now let's take that and make our dotted line. Axis of symmetry, dotted line passing vertically through the x-coordinate of negative 3. Next up is the y-intercept. Y-intercept is your C number in the back, written as an ordered pair, 0, 3. Go to your graph, make a dot on 0, 3. Now the nice thing about the axis of symmetry is that I can then project the intercept that I just put is 3 units away from the axis of symmetry. Count 3 more, 1, 2, 3. There's the projected across the axis of symmetry. 3 points is really all we need to make our curve. Then we can go ahead and connect. The very bottom is down here on this blue dot for the vertex. And there's your picture for your parabola. Please remember that when you draw your parabolas, you should have a rounded U-curve and not a pointed curve. Pointed graphs are an absolute value graph, and we need to make sure that these are not pointed, they should be round. We will not be filling in a table like you see in letter G. That's for multiple points. We've got 3 points identified, a vertex, a y-intercept, and the projected on the other side point. That's 3, that's enough for us. Now the next equation I want you to do is in negative, so this will show how we'll have one facing upside down. So you can move over to the second position on your worksheet and fill in the equation y equals negative x squared plus 6x minus 8. Part A, this one opens down. We've got a negative sign. Part B, since it is opening down, that means there is a maximum to this curve. Letter C is the beginning point to your vertex, the opposite of B over 2A. Negative 6 over 2 times negative 1, negative 6 over negative 2, 3. My vertex is now 3, comma, plug it in. So we'll go back up to the original. We have to do, now be careful here, you're doing the opposite of 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 8. Negative 9 plus 18 minus 8, 9 minus 8, 1. The vertex for this is 3, 1. Now you can go to your graph, plot your vertex, 3, 1. Letter E, axis of symmetry, x equals, repeat the x coordinate that you just got, x equals 3. Go back to your graph, and we'll draw our dotted line going up and down on that x coordinate number. Letter F is your y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is the value in the back, 0, negative 8. And then you can go to your curve. 0, negative 8 down here, and the projected image across the axis line is 3 units away. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's your other dot, and then we can connect and make our curve. Remember to try to be rounded at the top, curve facing down with the maximum at the very top. Now we will have word problems that will go with this, so we're going to set up a word problem and then I'll show you how you can use the information that we just got to create the solution. A video store sells about 150 DVDs a week at a price of $20 each. So the first thing we want to do when we're looking at word problems is try to label things. What we're doing is selling DVDs, so we have number, how many DVDs are we selling, and we also have price. How much are they selling for? We are selling 150 DVDs at a price of $20 apiece. The owner estimates that for each $1 decrease in price, so I'm going to go to the price category, and I'm going to create a parenthesis, a bracket here, to show what I'm doing to that price. $1 decrease each week. Decrease is a minus, and I'm decreasing $1 each week. To show that, I need to bring in my variable. So it's $1 each for the price. If I decrease the price $1, I can sell 25 more DVDs. So now I'm going to go to the number category, and I'm going to write a bracket for that. 25 more would be plus, so I can add 25, and again, I need to bring in my variable, 25 each. This is then an equation that I can set up. You can write y equals, and what I will do now is FOIL to write this equation in standard form. Once I have standard form, then I can start to pull out the vertex, which will help me answer this question. So bottom line on this, we're trying to figure out how can the owner maximize weekly revenue. If you're maximizing something, that means I'm going to have a parabola that's going to face upside down, because that is my maximum. I need to figure out how I can get a maximum revenue. So let's start by doing FOIL on this. 150 by 20, and again, you'll have a calculator available for these, so this is where you want to get your calculator out. 3,000 minus 150x, 25 times 20, 500x, 25x times negative x, negative 25x squared. If we rewrite this in the correct standard form, negative 25x squared plus 350x plus 3,000. Now I have my standard form. Now I can get my vertex. Negative b over 2a. Negative 350 over 2 times negative 25. Negative 350 over negative 50. 7. X coordinate is 7. Now be careful, 7 is not the answer to this question. 7 is the number that we're going to use to help us answer how. How can the owner maximize his revenue? So what I need to do is take this number 7, this is the X coordinate, take this 7 and plug it back into the price category. That will tell me what he will charge in order to make his maximum revenue. So if I put 7 back here, 20 subtract 1 minus, or 1 times 7 is 7, gives me 13. Now remember, this is the price category. So if he charges $13, he could maximize his weekly revenue. That's how you answer the word how. How can he do this? He will make new price of $13. That's how he can maximize his revenue. Now, if they want to know what is his maximum revenue, then we'd have to plug in 7 to both of these numbers and multiply. They're not asking us for this, but we could. Plug a 7 in, 150 plus 25 times 7. 150 plus 175, you'll get your answer here. Plug that in, see what you get. And then multiply that by 13. And you should come up with your maximum number, 42.25. So if the question asks you what is his maximum revenue, you'd say 42.25. If it asks you how will he get there, by charging $13 for each DVD. All right, so there's your introduction to standard form and how you can use word problems with standard form.